Ultra.
Goes huge for Ultra, and they get their first home series victory.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Made in Esports. This is again our bi-weekly show where we sort of give our topics or our thoughts on different topics throughout both the Overwatch League and the Call of Duty League. I'm one of your hosts, Spence. With me is Chris, and today's episode is going to be just give our sort of quick predictions for this upcoming major. It's not a whole bracket breakdown. There's some other people who do that kind of stuff. I just want to give our thoughts on who we think is going to win, and then maybe one sort of sneaky dark horse team that we think can potentially, quote unquote, shock the world. So with that out of the way, again, Spencer and Chris, we're going to jump right into this. Chris, why don't you just give me, I think, the one on everybody's mind, but who do you think is going to end up winning this tournament?
Obvious pick here is like Florida. Not Florida. Wow, Atlanta Faze.
I thought you were making a joke. I was like, yeah, okay, Florida. No, you just
That's great. I mean, the obvious pick here is, Atlanta Faze.
Yeah.
So, I mean, for me, everybody's in the back of their mind to know Atlanta Faze is doing good, just because of the scoreline. But if you don't watch a lot of Atlanta Faze, I think they have the perfect mix of consistency and the ability to pop off. You have people like Simp, which are just like very consistently good all the time. And then you have other individuals like Abizi who have this potential to just like go from, somebody who's performing decently and just hit a level when they need it the most. They get that 3-piece, that 4-piece, that 5-piece when they need it the most. And this isn't without me even talking about like people like the likes of Selling, which are just another form of that consistent good player like Simp. But I think the combination of having people who can really pop off, but also people who can perform consistently if your pop-off guy isn't popping off, really makes them that top contender. Yeah,
I mean, Abizi's so good. He can get a 5-piece in a 4v4 game, right? That's how talented he is. No, but I know what you mean. I think Atlanta Faze has that great combination of like pace and teamwork. Whereas like I love teams that play fast, and I think like that's another thing. Like Ultra at points can play fast, but I think that Faze has that ability to play extremely fast, but also like maintain that team coordination. And I said at the beginning of the year I thought this was going to be the best team in the league. Nothing's really changed for me. It's again they got like arguably the best SMG lineup in the league. Saliam is playing like an MVP candidate. He's one of, again, the best quote unquote flex players in the league. And then your fourth player is Arceus, who's one of the best, ARs in the league. So, and a meta like this in a game like this is going to be the team to beat. And they did show like, I guess, a potential chink in the armor versus LAG, right? Like, let's not act like they are this unbeaten, like they've never lost a map. They actually lost their first series of the year to LAG 3-2. Which just crazy. I thought was extremely surprising, especially to like a team like LAG, right? You think if they're going to lose their first one, maybe it would be to like Optic or to Dallas or some team like that. But I mean, good for LAG, right? We came in here, I think, threw some shade, and they kind of came in there and beat Faze, so touche. But with that being said, I think that they learned their lesson. Obviously, they came back versus London and slaughtered them. And again, as a Defiant or Ultra fan, I was happy because it put us in winner bracket. But obviously, it again shows how scary this team is going to be. I don't think it's going to be a consistent thing. And the scariest part about this team is that they not only are they so elite in their respawns, man, but they're also one of, if not the best search and destroy team. And man, when they go in a map of again a series of 9, I think it's you play like 4 searches. It's going to be so hard to beat them that consistently. So I still have faith in this.
I'm really, really interested to see how they do in the face of adversity, right? They're building up this ego just from slapping people all the time. Well, imagine they, let's say Ultra Optic, we face each other, hopefully Ultra win, and then we face Faze and beat them. I wonder how Faze will do after taking a tough loss.
I mean, you kind of saw that. They took a tough loss for LAG, and they came back and they slaughtered London. Like, I mean, it's a team of champions, right? Easy, RC's won in Black Ops 4, and they were the second best team in the league last year. They went to the final, so I don't think this is going to be one of those teams that like is new to adversity. They've done it before. I think they'll do it again. If they do somehow get upset by Ultra, like, hey, I would love it, but I would still feel confident of them making sort of a losers bracket run. But I think we said our piece on Faze. I think again, like I don't want to go into too much detail why I think Faze is good. Everybody knows Faze is good. It's not rocket science. Let's give it maybe one or two picks on who we think can kind of sneaky. Maybe like a bit of a dark horse team who could maybe somehow upset them and sort of pull up this victory.
Yeah, so I think one of the really, really big ones that I think could be a dark horse is New York Subliners.
I agree
So
with
for
that.
me, I feel like they are in a way a kind of like Faze, but just not at that level. Like they have like they can peak towards Faze level, but their just consistency isn't quite where Faze is. If they're at their peak, we're gonna see a really good contest in between the likes of Faze and New York. I mean, first off, Clayster, he's already an MVP candidate. He has some of the highest damage rates for your hard points and your control. I think the highest damage rate for hard point and control in the league right now.
He's up there per time.
And
Yeah.
beside him, this is like, wow, we're comparing like people who are worse than him, but like we have Mac and I think Asim has been really standing out as well. I mean,
Seems been frying.
it seems been frying to say the least. I mean,
He's been playing really
we're-
well.
it was a 3-1 versus Ultra the other week, and we'll talk about this more on another channel. We do a breakdown of the games, but just to give a little taster of that, it was 3-1, close at some points, but we got to look back at the stats, and Clay wasn't performing well.
Wasn't one of his best
rest of
games.
the team had, the rest of the team had the skill to keep him up and still beat Ultra when we were doing, at least decently well. And Asim on their side, Asim had literally just lost a couple of family members that week.
Yeah, or
So
I
my
don't know. Yeah,
looking-
someone passed in his family. That's important to know. I don't know who it was, but again, the fact that you're right, he was able to. I mean, I think they said that they didn't scrim the day before to give Asim some time with his family. I think he went to the funeral and came back and played like an hour before just to prep. So I mean, yeah, obviously my best wishes out to him and his family. I hope everything's going well there. And I mean, it just showed the mental composure that team has. Asim himself, but also just a team to kind of rally around and still look really good in that win. I think it was close at points, but you're right. That wasn't also the normal circumstances. This was also a team that looked really good in the previous major. And that was, again, the previous major where you think that they had some pieces that ideally improve as the year progresses. Clay's always been one of those players who, hopefully improves as the year progresses. Diamond Con kind of came in there, and I was a huge question mark for me. I don't think a lot of people saw him fitting into a top 4, top 5 team. I think he's helped a little bit by the fact that it is a very clearly a double AR meta, and he is obviously more comfortable with the AR in his hand. But man, he's looked good, and I think that he's just going to look better the more time he has to kind of, figure out his role in the team. And they still got a guy like Hydra on the bench, which is kind of insane because I still think he can come in here and debatably improve the team. So I agree that this is probably one of my dark horse teams. They were a little bit of my pick. Just because, again, I would never count out Clayster when it comes to a major and his ability to win chips, right? We've seen this over and over again. He's a 2-time back-to-back for a reason. I mean, 3-time, but he's the back-to-back for a reason. And he's got some really good pieces there. The other team I want to kind of bring into light here, I mean, I could say Optic, right? But I mean, people know Optic's really good. I could say Dallas, but they also won last year. And I don't think that that's really a sneaky prediction. I think there's some question marks around Minnesota right now, right? Is Minnesota real? Are they the real deal? Is Minnesota sort of the team that they've been looking? Do they deserve that number 1 spot in that group? And I actually kind of think that they did. And Minnesota's going to be my sneaky pick because I understand that there's a honeymoon period in Call of Duty, right? You bring a substitute like Standing in, it's new blood, rejuvenates the team. They start off hot, right? They start popping off, and then they kind of come back down to earth, right? I know that is a thing in both sports and esports. And a lot of people are kind of, that narrative is starting to begin at maybe their honeymoon period is coming to an end, right? They almost got 3-0'd by Seattle Surge at this crazy reverse sweep. But I actually think that this team is real. And the reason I say this is because Standy was somebody who I was extremely high on coming into the year, right? You can go back to our old prediction videos of who Ultra should go in the offseason and get. He was my number 1 AM coming out of North America. I think he's a great SMG talent. I think he also finally rounds up this team where the roles start to make sense, right? You have him being a little bit of a faster pace on machine gun. You then have Attach who can play alongside him. It's a really good SMG duo. You finally put Priesta, instead of running the entry role, right? You put him back in the role that he's most comfortable on, which is sort of that flex position. And then you have accuracy on that sort of main assault rifle there where he's frying and doing his thing too, Lamar. So I think that when people look at the Standy acquisition, some people are like, oh, it's one piece. How much can one piece really improve a team? But I don't just view that as like one piece improving a team. I feel like by him going in there, it was almost like you improved 3 pieces, right? Attach didn't have to be sort of like the quote unquote only SMG. Priest can now play a role he's more comfortable on. And I think Standy is the real deal. So like, I actually think this is a sneaky good team. I also think they're a really good search and destroy team. So a lot of people were saying like, how can you beat FaZe when you have to beat them on, 4 out of 9 S&Ds, or 4 maps or S&Ds out of the 9. But I think if any team can do it, it actually is Minnesota. I think that they are one of the best S&D teams in the league right now alongside FaZe. So if any team can kind of hang with them and maybe get that upset, I think it's Minnesota.
Oh, yeah. Great thought there. Well, hey, guys. Hey, if you liked our predictions, if you agree with them, let us know. If you disagree, let us know in the comments as well. And if you like the stuff, hey, feel free to like and subscribe to Main Esports. We're a collaborative group of podcasters and content creators in the esports space that really like working together and creating storylines and content for you guys to like and consume.
Yeah, and hey, like I said, guys, let us know your thoughts below. Who do you think is going to win this major? Is Atlanta FaZe going to go back to back? Or, is the Dallas Empire going to return to form and clutch up when it matters? Or are we going to see somebody off the board, right? Is the new LA Thieves, is their new roster going to put it together and come in and make some noise? You never know. So let us know your thoughts down below. And as always, guys, thank you for watching and enjoy.